We live in interesting times. For the headlines. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Thursday that politics played no part in the arrest of a top executive of Chinese tech giant Huawei, who was detained on a U.S. extradition request. Paris Eiffel Tower will close on Saturday over fears of fresh violence during nationwide protests against President Emmanuel Macron, as police urge shops and restaurants on the Champs-Élysées to shut their doors too. Nissan announced plans to recall approximately 150,000 vehicles owing to improper tests on new units, dealing a fresh blow to the Japanese car giant following the shock arrest of former chairman Carlos Ghosn. And the World Food Program distributes food aid in Yemen, where families receive coupons that they exchange for food in local shops. We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda. Now to the news. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that politics played no part in the arrest of a top executive of Chinese tech giant Huawei, who was detained on a U.S. extradition request.
I can assure everyone that we are a country of an independent judiciary, and the appropriate authorities took the decisions in this case without any political involvement or interference, as must be the case.
The Prime Minister declined to comment further on the case, citing a court-ordered publication ban sought by Huawei Chief Financial Officer Meng Wanzhou, arrested at the request of U.S. authorities as she was changing planes in Vancouver. Earlier, Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan also stressed that Canadian police agencies work independently of the government. He also said they have a good judicial process in regards to the next steps. It will take its course. Canada's cybersecurity chief, however, said Ottawa was prepared for any possible retaliatory cyber attacks over the arrest. Scott Jones, director of the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, told media he thinks one of the key things is that they always have to be resilient no matter what the possible trigger could be. Jones happened to be presenting his office's first report on cybersecurity threats assessment. Meng Wanzhou is scheduled to appear in court on Friday for a bail hearing. Chinese state-run media condemned the arrest in Canada of a top executive of telecoms giant Huawei on a U.S. extradition request as a despicable rogue's approach to contain Chinese high-tech ambitions. The arrest of Meng Wanzhou, Chief Financial Officer and daughter of the company's founder, has angered the Chinese government and raised concerns that it could disrupt a trade war truce between the world's two biggest economies. As authorities have not disclosed the charges she faces following a publication ban sought by Meng, but one thing that is undoubtedly true and proven is the U.S. is trying to do whatever it can to contain Huawei's expansion in the world, simply because the company is the point man for China's competitive technology companies, the Daily said. Paris's Eiffel Tower will close on Saturday over fears of fresh violence during nationwide protests against President Emmanuel Macron, as police urged shops and restaurants on the Champs-Élysées to shut their doors too. Our own A dozen museums across the capital have also said they will remain closed on Saturday after vandalism and clashes between protests and police last week rocked France. Prime Minister Edouard Philippe told Centre Thursday that exceptional measures would be taken to avoid the day-long street battles seen last weekend with 65,000 police deployed across the country. The move is likely to cost businesses thousands of euros in lost revenue as tourists and locals alike stay clear during a second holiday weekend in a row.
Vers 11 heures, on a reçu un appel de notre sécurité qu'on doit fermer le bureau parce qu'ils sont entendus que ça va être chaud. Donc, on a refermé juste la porte, mais normalement on a une planche à mettre, mais on n'a pas pensé que ça va être chaud. Donc, on a laissé la porte comme on a fermé normalement, mais voilà, la porte, au bout je pense qu'à la fin, ça a été cassé complètement.
The Eiffel Tower said it would stay shut Saturday, and both the Garnier and Bastille opera houses have candle performances scheduled for Saturday. Two of Paris's main attractions, the Louvre and Orsay museums, are still weighing whether or not to close.
La première chose, c'est qu'on ne prendra pas de risque le samedi, parce que c'est là où il y a les manifestations, c'est là où ça cogne. Donc je ne vois pas à quoi être là, ça sert à quoi d'être présent sur place. Les clients ne vont pas venir, eux, ils ont peur. Je fais du cinéma de réédition, moi je fais des films des années 40, des années 50. Ce sont des vieux qui viennent chez moi. Qu'est-ce que vous voulez que je vais prendre un risque aux vieux? Les vieux, ils vont même pas venir eux-mêmes, vont même pas venir, donc c'est pas la peine qu'on perde du temps.
U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, who has enjoyed a level of bipartisan support rarely seen in Washington, is facing mounting public criticism amid the fallout from the slaying of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The fresh scrutiny of Mattis, often portrayed at home and abroad as a trusted steward of U.S. values during the turbulent times of President Donald Trump, comes on the heels of his implementation of a controversial military order to place troops on the U.S.-Mexico border, a move critics slammed as a political stunt. Mattis has repeatedly condemned the killing and called for those responsible to be held to account, but insisted he had seen no smoking gun connecting Prince Mohammed to the Khashoggi murder. Graham said she has to be willfully blind not to conclude the murder was orchestrated by people under Prince Mohammed's command. British Prime Minister Theresa May sought to woo MPs with a promise of more power over the next stage of Brexit as she fought to save her EU withdrawal deal ahead of a crucial parliamentary vote next week. May said lawmakers could have a greater say over an arrangement to avoid border checks with Ireland that could see Britain tied to EU rules for years after it leaves the bloc in March. A so-called backstop is the key reason many of her own Conservative MPs and her Northern Irish allies opposed the divorce deal, putting her on course for defeat in Tuesday's vote. Senior Conservative MP Graham Brady said he would welcome deferring the vote if it meant clarifying the issue of the backstop.
Can I first of all join you and the whole House in commending Sammy Woodhouse, the Honourable Lady, that this to be
President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday dismissed U.S. claims Russia is violating a major Cold War treaty limiting mid-range nuclear arms as a senior general lashed out at Washington's attempt to contain Moscow. The tense rhetoric comes A day after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Washington would withdraw from the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty within 60 days if Russia does not dismantle missiles that the U.S. claims breached the deal. On Monday, President Trump said he wants talks with Putin and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to head off a major and uncontrollable arms race.
Главное обоснование – это то, что мы что-то ограничили. Теперь, видимо, наши американские партнеры считают, что ситуация поменялась настолько, что и США должны иметь такое оружие. Такой ответ с нашей стороны. Да простой. Мы тогда тоже будем это делать. Напомню, что это не так. Мы против разрушения этого договора. Но если это произойдет, соответствующим образом будем реагировать. Запоздало. Сначала все-таки американская сторона заявила о том, что она намерена выйти из договора о ракетах средней и меньшей дальности, а потом начали искать обоснования, почему они должны это сделать. Ну, самое главное обоснование – это то, что мы что-то нарушаем. При этом, как обычно, никаких доказательств нарушений с нашей стороны не представляется. Но напомню, что это...
Meanwhile, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said groundless accusations are again being repeated. Zakharova said no proof has been produced to support the American position on the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which she described as a cornerstone of global security.
Я хотела бы сказать, что в этом тексте вновь воспроизведены обвинения беспочвенные, ничем не подкрепленные в связи с якобы нарушением российской стороной этого соглашения. Что это, мягко говоря, домыслы. Никаких доказательств, которые подтверждали бы эту американскую позицию, нам так и не было предоставлено. Если они...
Yemen's government and rebels locked in a devastating war traded accusations as they sat down on hard-won talks the United Nations described as difficult but critical. The talks in Sweden are the first in 2 years in a conflict between a pro-government military coalition led by Saudi Arabia and Iran-backed Houthi insurgents that has pushed impoverished Yemen to the brink of mass starvation. While the days leading up to the gathering saw the government and rebels agreeing on a prisoner swap deal and the evacuation of wounded insurgents for medical treatment in Oman, both parties dug in on their demands as the talks began. The UN Special Envoy for Yemen, Martin Griffiths, said the talks presented a critical opportunity but did not amount to negotiations on a full end to the conflict between the Iran-backed Houthi rebels and the rival government alliance led by Saudi Arabia. Speaking on condition of anonymity, one UN official said the talks marked the beginning of difficult work. Ukraine's foreign minister on Thursday called for a speedy international response to Russia's aggression after it seized 3 Ukrainian Navy ships and 24 sailors in the Sea of Azov. At a meeting of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in Milan, Pavlo Klimkin said,
from Romanian point of view, we do hope that
this was the 5th consecutive OSCE ministerial meeting to be dominated by Russia's destabilizing behavior in Europe. It's a major threat to European security, the minister said in front of Russia's top diplomat, who was also in attendance. This year, Russia did not pull back but extended its aggressive course of action, Klimkin added. The confrontation at sea on November 25 was the first open military incident between Kyiv and Moscow since 2014, when Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula and a conflict erupted in the eastern Ukraine between pro-Russia separatists and government forces, which has claimed more than 10,000 lives. Klimkin said Ukraine would return to the United Nations to demand a prompt response to this act of aggression. He said Russia has violated international law and that the United States could never recognize the annexation of Crimea. He also added it is time for Russia to rethink its approach to respect international laws, to fulfill its commitment as an OSCE state and be a member of the community of civilized nations.
Allowed access to the
past 4 years of Russian aggression against Ukraine, I think, have been a wake-up call for all of us. If ever in the OSCE's history there were a reason for its existence, it's today in Ukraine. Russia's aggression near the Kerch Strait was a miscalculation. It has strengthened Western resolve to maintain sanctions against Russia and has galvanized the international community's efforts to ensure respect for international law and lawful maritime passage.
A suicide bomber killed at least 2 people and wounded many more outside police headquarters in the port city of Chabahar in restive southeastern Iran on Thursday, according to a revised official toll. Chabahar lies in Sistan, Baluchistan province, which has long been a flashpoint, with Pakistan-based Baluchi separatists and Sunni Muslim extremists carrying out cross-border attacks targeting the Shiite authorities. The explosion was very strong and broke the glass of many buildings close to Bameri, told state television. Many nearby shop owners and civilian passerby, including women and children, were severely wounded, he added. The number of assailants was not immediately clear. The terrorists tried to enter Chabahar police headquarters, but they were prevented by the guards and they detonated the car bomb, Marashi said without elaborating on how many assailants took part. We'll be back with more news right after this break. Tokyo prosecutors have decided to indict Nissan as well as its former chairman Carlos Ghosn and another executive as early as next week over alleged financial misconduct, a report said Friday. The report comes amid speculation that Ghosn and his right-hand man Greg Kelly will face new allegations related to underreporting of the Auto Titans compensation. The pair were arrested on November 19 on suspicion of conspiring to understate Gon's pay by some 5 billion yen in official filing during the 5 years up to March 2015. The new accusation is only expected to be announced next week. Nissan has begun the process of choosing Gon's successor, with the final decision expected on December 17.
They are under threat. As you know, the bigger cost, I think all cars.
Nissan on Friday announced plans to recall approximately 150,000 vehicles owing to improper tests of new units, dealing a fresh blow to the Japanese car giant following the shock arrest of former chairman Carlos Ghosn. The latest issue was uncovered after Transport Ministry officials conducted on-site inspections at Nissan's major assembly plants, the Nikkei Business Daily said. In a separate case that erupted in July, Nissan admitted data on exhaust emissions and fuel economy had been deliberately altered, hampering its efforts to recover trust after the inspection scandal. OPEC will meet with 10 partner countries, including Russia, on Friday to try to thrash out an agreement on oil production cuts, a day after the group's members failed to reach a deal. The oil cartel had been expected to sign off on cuts to stem a plunge in oil prices at a meeting on Friday, but it broke up without an accord. Saudi Oil Minister Khalid Al-Falih told media he is not confident about the chances of deal. However, OPEC and its non-cartel members, who account for global half of global output, agreed on one thing: a glut on the market has led to oil prices falling by more than 30% in the space of 2 months. The major players among the oil giants all have their own reasons to look to others to act. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, has to bear in mind pressure from the U.S. after President Donald Trump demanded in a tweet on Wednesday that OPEC not boost prices.
We believe that there is substantial volumes out there as a result of releasing the spare capacity that need to be withdrawn, and we hope that we will come to an agreement where all producers will contribute with an equal cut across the board. So far, from my consultations with colleagues, we have not reached that. To wish for affordability of energy for the citizens of the United States, and he is very vocal, using his favorite communication tool, which is Twitter, and we hear him and we take his views seriously, but we also take the views of Prime Minister Modi, who is equally vocal.
Conclude your questions and begin to retreat to the back.
China said Thursday it would immediately implement measures agreed under trade war truce with the United States.
说过，中方将立即落实农产品、能源、汽车等双方已经达成共识的具体事项。说过，中方将立即落实。
The Commerce Ministry remarks came days after U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping agreed to give negotiators 90 days to resolve their trade spat. Few details have been made public about what the two sides will negotiate, a lack of clarity that has unsettled stock markets. The two sides will also discuss intellectual property protection, technology cooperation, market access, and fair trade, and work hard to reach a consensus, Gao said. But the spokesman did not provide more specific details about what actions China will take. More news will be coming your way when Eagle News International returns. A truffle-eating Australian marsupial known as the rat kangaroo has suffered a dramatic population decline and could become extinct without urgent action to save the species, a report warned Thursday. The World Wildlife Fund said only 2 populations of the northern bettong remained in the wet coastal tropics of northern Queensland state, numbering at most 2,500 individuals, down to 70% in the past 30 years. The nocturnal rabbit-sized bettongs are at risk from feral cats, land clearing and wildfires, which have become more frequent and fierce in Queensland due to climate change.
What it does, it plays a really unique role in maintaining ecological function in the vegetation. So if we lose it, and other species like it, we could be looking at ecological collapse. We know, particularly with climate change, a massive wildfire could be just around the corner.
Cronin also said it was critical to establish an insurance population of the northern bettong protected from pests and fire, and consider raising the species status from endangered to critically endangered. The northern bettong is one of the main animals which eat truffles, dispersing truffle spores across its habitat and maintaining a delicate ecological balance.
She's only about 700 grams.
The threats that we see with the northern bettong, habitat loss, influx of feral cats and other feral predators, exacerbated by climate change, these are the very same threats that we're seeing across hundreds of other species right across the nation. The threats that we see with the northern bettong, habitat loss.
The New Zealand Defence Force identified climate change as one of its biggest security challenges, warning that responding to global warming will increasingly stretch its resources. The NZDF said the impact of climate change in the neighboring Pacific Islands promised to be so extreme that providing humanitarian assistance could limit its ability to perform its traditional defense roles. With the intensifying impacts of climate change, New Zealand may be faced with concurrent operational commitments which could stretch resources and reduce readiness for other requirements, it said in a report examining climate's impact on the military. When the effects of climate change intersect with a complex array of environmental and social issues, they can be a significant contributor to both low-level and more violent conflict, it said. Facebook chief Mark Zuckerberg pushed back Wednesday against emails showing the social media giant offering Netflix and other popular apps preferential access to people's data even after it had tightened its privacy rules. A British parliamentary committee investigating whether the social media behemoth was being used to manipulate the results of elections published 250 pages of internal Facebook documents earlier Wednesday. They show executives holding discussions about big companies such as Netflix being granted preferential access to user data even after Facebook had tightened its privacy rules in 2014 to 2015. Zuckerberg, featured in one email exchange from 2012, is in which he mulled selling the information to developers. The emails featured in a lawsuit filed against Facebook in a California court by the now-defunct US app developer 643. They were sealed by the presiding judge but seized by the British committee under a never-before-used paramilitary enforcement procedure last month. Zuckerberg said he was trying because he did not want the emails to misrepresent their actions or motives. Like any organization, they had a lot of internal discussions and people raised different ideas. He did not directly address Facebook's apparent decision to give some of the world's most popular apps special access to friends list and other personal information that many people want to keep private. He added they decided on a model where we continued to provide the developer platform for free and developers could choose to buy ads if they wanted to be clear. That's different from selling people's data, and they've never sold anyone's data.
Talk about a new category of experiences. So we're calling this home. The screen is really the soul of your phone. You look at it about 100 times.
New Era University made it to the top 3 winners of this year's iMake, WeMake, Create, Innovate, Collaborate project of the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, in collaboration with Acer Philippines. More details from our Eagle News reporter Edlo Bringas. Edlo?
New Era University made it to the top 3 winners of this year iMake, WeMake, Create, Innovate, Collaborate project of the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, in collaboration with Acer Philippines. 3 senior high school students from grades 11 and 12 from NEU competed along with representatives from 16 other schools in the competition that challenges young Filipinos to use their creativity. With their submitted prototype for automated irrigation system, Electroculture, powered by Acer Cloud Professor using Arduino Uno, the team of NEU senior high school students bagged the Youth Innovation Prize Award. 2 other schools bagged the same award.
To power up the whole system is nakakonekta ho siya sa isang solar panel, then directly papunta sa mga solar charger and its battery. Then kaya ho siya naging automated ho kasi lahat ho siya ay controlled into, kinokontrol ng isang MCU or microcontroller ho. Para ho i-command yung buong system, kung kailangan na hong diligan ba yung plant boxes or hindi, ay nasa-sense po siya ng mga soil moisture sensors na nakadikit ho dun sa soil. At tuyo yung lupa, that's why yung mga shower heads, saka ho automatically i-irrigate ho siya. Then after quite some time, kapag na-detect na ho ng mga soil moisture sensors na
kailangan na siya
automatically mag-shut off. Lahat po siya napupunta ho lahat sa cloud na pinrovide ng Acer. So kung makikita ho nyo ngayon, kumbaga physically kita ho natin na kumbaga wet na ho yung soil, and electronically binabasa na ho ng sensors na dapat nang itigil yung pagdidilig kasi na-reach na ho yung below threshold po.
This was, however, the first for NEU to participate in such contests. The NEU Senior High School students were guided by the NEU Technology Center, Integrated School, and the University Research Center in collaboration with coaches from the NEU College of Engineering and Architecture and the College of Agriculture.
After po ng seminar, 5-day seminar and training and workshop, binigyan po kami ng 3 months para gawin po yung kabuuan po ng prototype. So, nagpapasalamat din po kami sa lahat ng tumulong para mabuo po itong aming proyekto.
To develop more our prototype na instead of using the shower, gawin po namin robotics na. Automatic pesticide, automatic pag-aabono. So, gawin po namin robotics na lahat para talaga pong mas more on high-tech and develop po yung ating project.
As the NEU Technology Research Center first year, they made this a good start as NEU Bugs Award in the SkyDub competition.
Irrigation system, kasi talagang problema po talaga yon. So I think this could help because with a little bit of water, because it is controlled, talagang malaki maitutulong niya. The growth of the plants is faster, and its fruit germination is also hasten because of the electricity that is being injected to the plants. Yun nga po sir, kaso lang ito, cost effective kasi kung economy of scale natin ito, na mayroon na tayo nito, kasi sustainable po siya eh. At saka in the first place, mag-invest ka lang sa ganito, kumbaga, funds lang ang kailangan.
The prototype for the automated irrigation system, Electroculture, is designed to speed up the growth of plants with proper irrigation and electricity.
Actually, yung ERA University Technology Center po, it was initiated po talaga and very much supported po by the Board of Trustees po of the university talaga po. Sila po yung, kasama po sila sa nag-create po talaga, and na it is their instruction para po makapag-form ng ecosystem of innovators po. Actually, the main objective of the New Era University Technology Center is to become an ecosystem of innovators. Kaya yung mga estudyante, magkaroon tayo ng sarili nating incubation center so that maging sustainable po at maging commercially viable po yung mga products ng mga estudyante po natin.
So, kaisa kami sa pangangasiwa sa pag-encourage sa mga estudyante natin na patuloy na mag-isip ng mga projects kung saan makakatulong kami sa lipunan in general. I wish to extend my congratulations to all the participants. Alam ko, we've been through a lot of hardship, medyo nahirapan tayo, pero finally, nagawa natin. Congratulations!
Technology is one of the things that we have to consider nowadays in our everyday lives. That's why New Era University wants to enhance their innovations to help our community. Reporting for Eagle News here in Quezon City, New Era University, I'm Arno Bringas, I am 1U25.
Eagle News International will be right back.
buong pamilya ang responsableng panonood. Teamwork tayo, parents!
Rated G, good for all. Oops, rated PG.
Dapat may mga magulang para sagutin ang mga tanong ng kabataan.
Grabe, rated SPG, maselan. Itan ang paggabay.
Pag rated MTRCB, rated responsable.
The World Food Program distributes food aid in Yemen, where families receive coupons that they exchange for food in local shops. 8.4 million people are seriously food insecure in total. The number of people in pre-famine conditions is 14 million, according to United Nations figures. But boosting aid and even ending the devastating Yemen conflict would not be enough to end hunger in the impoverished country, a World Food Program official says. WFP spokesman Hervé Verheussel said they hope that the warring parties will successfully negotiate an end to this conflict, which is the only way to solve what has become the largest hunger crisis in the world. Yemen is home to what the UN calls the world's worst humanitarian crisis, a crisis triggered by a frail economy, massive poverty, war, blockade, and disease.
كان اللحم كان اللقمة كان الزلاط كان كل حاجة اليوم ما بش هذا الوقت جو بس.
The situation has worsened in recent months due to a broad economic collapse and rising violence in the rebel-held port of Hodeidah, a crucial import hub for food and other basic supplies. The UN says 24 million people in Yemen, roughly 75% of the population, will need humanitarian assistance in 2019. Both the UN Humanitarian Agency, or OCHA, and WFP have called for a boost in funds next year to help meet the needs of Yemenis, 14 million of whom stand at the brink of famine, according to UN estimates.
This report is devastating. It realizes our worst fears, that people are starving to death in Yemen. They need our help, and we're on the ground doing everything we can. In fact, that report is showing that the number of people on the brink of starvation is doubling. We plan to scale up to about 12 million people as fast as we can, dependent upon the access and the money that we get from people around the world. So we need help, and we need it now. Otherwise, innocent families, little girls, and little boys are going to die. This report is devastating.
And here is Ben Bernaldez for our sports news.
After 2 weeks, the Philippine Basketball Association returned to finally end what has been a colorful season. The Hotshots came out on Wednesday night with a bang, blasting Alaska Aces 184 in a Game 1 of the Governor's Cup Finals at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. Behind Robbie Herndon, Magnolia opened the game on a 15-0 run, forcing Alaska coach Alex Compton to call up 2 full timeouts just within the first 8 minutes of the game. The Aces eventually settled in and even threatened to come back at some point in the game. The last with 4 minutes 23 left in the fourth quarter, where they came to within 8. The last with 4 minutes and 23 seconds left in the fourth quarter, when they came to within 8, 76-84. But a crucial 9-0 run ignited Mark Barroca, who either scored or assisted in the said run, sealed the fate of both teams as the Hotshots took a 1-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. Romeo Chavez put up 29 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal, while Barroca added 16 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals for Magnolia. Herndon finished with a perfect 3-for-3 shooting for 9 points, with 3 rebounds and 1 steal, while Gio Alalan flirted with a triple-double after tallying 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and 7 points with 4 steals. Mike Harris put up 20 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks for Alaska. And in NBA, Stephen Curry scored 42 points to lead the Golden State Warriors to a 129-105 victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday in an NBA Finals rematch in name only. Curry drained the 9 3-pointers and Kevin Durant added 25 points of 9 of 16 shooting as the Warriors pulled away in second half against a Cleveland team that bears little resemblance to the LeBron James-led Cavs that battled the Warriors in the last 4 championship series. Curry, looking fully recovered from the groin injury that sidelined him for 11 games, added 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and Durant pulled down 10 rebounds and handed out 9 assists. The Warriors were back in Cleveland for the first time since June, where they beat the Cavs to win their second straight NBA title and third in 4 years. Since then, the Cavs have seen James depart as free agent to the Los Angeles Lakers. Forward J.R. Smith was also absent from the team. Kevin Love was nursing a foot injury, and Kyle Korver was recently traded to Utah. Tristan Thompson, one of the only holdovers for the Cavaliers team that challenged the Warriors and beat them for the crown in 2016, scored 14 points with 19 rebounds. Rookie Colin Sexton led the Cavaliers with 21 points. The Warriors improved to 79, still fourth in the Western Conference, led by the Denver Nuggets and Los Angeles Clippers coming into the Wednesday's games. Meanwhile, these are the results of the other games today in the NBA. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez and I'm 1 with 25.
During the cold season in the Netherlands, one of the popular snacks in oliebollen, which is also a traditional Dutch food on New Year's Eve. ABC correspondent Malu Francisco shares the recipe of the old-fashioned Dutch donuts. Watch this.
Let's have a glimpse of the Netherlands during cold season in the months of October to February. Just like many other places, her beauty remains, and the people's favorite activities go on, like playing music to entertain shoppers walking by, visiting museums.
At the moment, I'm in the Museum Square here in the Netherlands, right here in the capital city of Amsterdam.
Or simply exploring a place of interest. During the cold season in the Netherlands, one of the popular snacks is the oliebollen, also a traditional Dutch food on New Year's Eve. Oliebollen, literally translated in English, is oil balls, and the singular form is oliebol. The oliebollen are said to be the ancestors of the modern-day donuts. The dough is made of eggs, yeast, a pinch of salt, flour, milk, and baking powder. Easy to make at home, easy to follow recipes online, can be conveniently downloaded. Simply deep fry the oliebollen, and when done, top your oliebollen with sprinkling of powdered sugar and cinnamon. Oliebollen are best eaten while warm and with a cup of hot tea or chocolate. Oh, that's terrific on a cold winter day. And there's a great variety of oliebollen to choose from, depending on the kind of filling used. Just drop by a mobile oliebollen stand. There you have it, the apple bollen, banana bollen, jelly bollen, and many more. Remember, some confectioner sugar and cinnamon on top can make your oliebol extra yummy. Well, for something different on New Year's Eve, how about serving some oliebollen for some Dutch flavor and ambience?
I'm Marilu Francisco, ABC correspondent here in Europe, and I am one with 25.
Thanks, Malu. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also check out our boards and Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us. And I'm one with 25.